Never tell your family secrets to everyone around you, because not every older person who advises you wants the best for you. Some people stay close to watch your life quietly. Sit back and watch this story. Mira had always felt comfortable around Teni and her family. After a long day helping Teni in the market, the two returned home laughing and teasing each other like sisters. Their friendship looked genuine, full of jokes, small insults, and the kind of closeness built over years. Even Teni's mother treated Mira warmly, noticing her beauty and asking questions with a smile. Everything seemed normal. But while Mira was content with simple happiness, Teni was exhausted by poverty. The stress of rent, work, and constantly struggling had started changing her. She talked about becoming rich someday, no matter what it took. Then her mother said something unusual. Ambition is good, but desperation can destroy a person. At that moment, it sounded like ordinary advice. No one knew desperation was already growing inside that house. A few days later, Mira and Teni went out to relax, unaware that one simple conversation would change Mira's life completely. While they sat talking, two men nearby noticed them. One of them, Ethan, couldn't take his eyes off Mira. Her calm nature and quiet confidence pulled him in immediately. What started as a playful introduction quickly turned into interest. Ethan barely hid the fact that he liked her, while Teni joked from the side, teasing how quickly men fall when they see a beautiful woman. Everyone laughed. The mood was light. Even Mira, who usually kept her distance, seemed comfortable around him. Before leaving, Ethan asked if he could see her again. Mira didn't give a clear answer, but she didn't say no either. For Ethan, that small response was enough. Nobody at that table knew a simple meeting between strangers was slowly opening the door to something bigger, and not everyone around Mira would be happy about it. Weeks passed, and life finally seemed to reward Mira for years of struggle. One afternoon, she rushed into Teni's house with excitement she couldn't hide. She had been accepted for an internship abroad, a chance many people prayed for but never got. For a moment, everyone was shocked. Even Teni looked happy. Then something changed. The excitement in the room slowly turned heavy. Beneath Teni's smile was frustration, the painful feeling of watching someone close to you move forward while you remain stuck in the same place. Mira believed her friend would celebrate with her. Instead, old wounds opened. Teni spoke from a place of exhaustion, years of suffering, disappointment, and feeling left behind. But Mira wasn't living a perfect life either. She reminded her that behind every achievement were sacrifices, loss, and struggles people rarely saw. Still, pain doesn't always listen to reason. What started as good news became an argument filled with envy, pride, and hidden resentment. And for the first time, Mira saw something in Teni she had ignored before: bitterness. Mira's life kept changing faster than she expected. Just when she was celebrating her opportunity abroad, Ethan surprised her again, this time with something bigger, a photography studio of her own. The dream she had quietly carried for years was suddenly standing right in front of her. Mira was overwhelmed, not because of the building itself, but because someone believed in her enough to invest in her future. Ethan watched proudly. To him, Mira deserved more than survival. She deserved a chance. Teni stood nearby, smiling, but her jokes were beginning to sound different. The playful teasing now carried something heavier underneath. Every blessing Mira received seemed to remind Teni of everything she still lacked. Then Ethan said something simple: protect your peace. Not everyone around you celebrates your success genuinely. The room became awkward immediately. Teni reacted fast, almost defensive, as if the words touched a place she had been hiding. Mira tried to calm the tension before it grew, but before the moment could pass, another person arrived. Mama Teni. Unlike before, she wasn't only observing quietly. She studied Ethan carefully, the expensive gifts, the confidence, the lifestyle around Mira. Then she looked at her daughter and made a strange comment about how her eyes had changed. It sounded harmless, but Mama Teni had started noticing something long before everyone else. Jealousy was slowly turning into something dangerous. As Mira prepared to travel abroad, she made one last effort to help the people she loved. Knowing Teni had been struggling for years, she convinced Ethan to arrange a possible job opportunity for her too. To Mira, Success meant little if the people around her were still suffering. But Teni didn't see kindness. She saw pity. Their conversation became painfully honest. For the first time, Teni admitted what had been growing inside her all along. The exhaustion of constantly being overlooked while Mira seemed chosen, admired, and favored everywhere they went. Mira tried explaining that her life wasn't as perfect as people imagined. She still carried grief, pressure, and responsibilities. Yet she refused to become bitter. Before leaving, Mira brought food for Teni and her mother, still caring despite the distance growing between them. Then she said something genuine. She still loved Teni, no matter what had changed. Teni answered quietly, but something about her felt cold. After Mira left, silence filled the house. That was when Mama Teni spoke, not as a comforting mother, but as someone feeding old frustrations. She compared their lives again. Mira rising, Teni remaining behind. At first, Teni resisted, but repeated pain has a way of weakening people. Then, late that night, a phone call came in. Mama Teni answered. The voice on the other side didn't waste time. The caller asked if Mira was still sleeping in their house. When Mama Teni said yes, the reply was chilling. Good. Tonight is the only chance. And suddenly, Mama Teni's earlier words no longer sounded like bitterness. They sounded like preparation. The morning of Mira's flight finally arrived. What should have been a happy goodbye felt strangely heavy. Mira noticed it too. Even while packing for a future she had worked hard for, she kept trying to reach Teni emotionally, hoping to fix whatever had broken between them. But Teni's replies were colder than before. Filled with pain she no longer bothered to hide. Then Mama Teni stepped in, acting caring as usual, offering food, speaking softly, behaving like nothing was wrong. Ethan arrived shortly after to take Mira to the airport. He was excited for her, but inside that house, the atmosphere had changed. Teni looked restless. Mama Teni watched quietly, and just when everyone prepared to leave, something unexpected happened. Mira's passport disappeared. The room shifted instantly from celebration to panic. For someone traveling abroad in a few hours, losing a passport wasn't a small mistake. Mira searched desperately. Ethan tried staying calm. Mama Teni encouraged everyone to look around. Teni, however, sounded different, almost bitter, almost satisfied. Still, Mira ignored it, because when you love people, you rarely suspect them first. Then Teni walked silently into the bedroom to search. Ethan stood still for a moment, observing everyone. His expression changed. He couldn't explain it yet, but something inside him felt wrong. Not missing passport wrong. Danger wrong. Minutes passed, and Mira's passport was still nowhere to be found. The panic in her voice became impossible to hide. Her flight, her future, the opportunity she had worked for, all of it suddenly felt unstable. Mama Teni offered explanations, sounding concerned, but Teni's reaction was different. There was no urgency, no sympathy, only a strange calmness that made Mira uncomfortable. Then years of hidden emotions finally exploded. For the first time, Teni admitted the truth out loud. Watching Mira succeed had been hurting her for a long time. Not because Mira was cruel, but because life seemed to reward Mira while she remained stuck. The anger wasn't only about Ethan, or the job abroad, or the photography studio. It was deeper. It was years of comparison, disappointment, and feeling forgotten. Mira defended herself, reminding Teni that blessings don't erase suffering. People only see success. They rarely see pain. But by then, neither of them was truly listening anymore. The friendship that once felt like sisterhood was cracking in front of everyone. Then Mira asked a simple question. Why did Teni sound almost certain something bad was about to happen to her? The room became quiet immediately. Too quiet. Teni said nothing. Instead, she walked out. And strangely, Mama Teni didn't chase after her. She stayed behind and looked at Mira with the same calm expression she always wore before saying something unsettling. Sometimes jealousy enters a person slowly, until they stop recognizing themselves. The words sounded wise, protective even. But if Mira had looked carefully, she might have noticed something. Mama Teni spoke about jealousy too comfortably, like someone who understood it very well. At a small, hidden herbalist's compound far away from the noise of the city, Teni stood frozen beside her mother. The place smelled of herbs, burning incense, and something unsettling she couldn't quite name. Clay pots lined the walls, and strange objects hung from wooden beams like the space had been used for things people were not supposed to fully understand. In the center sat the herbalist, a woman with sharp eyes and a calm, unreadable face. She looked at Teni like she had already seen her future. Mama Teni stood beside her, speaking first. "She's the one," she said quietly. The herbalist nodded slowly. "Yes, Mira," the woman replied, as if she had been waiting for that name. Teni's stomach tightened immediately. "Mama, who is this woman?" she asked, her voice low but shaking. Her mother didn't answer properly. Instead, the herbalist spoke again. "She's already emotionally weakened. That makes everything easier." Teni stepped back slightly. "Wait, I didn't agree to anything dangerous," she said quickly. The herbalist tilted her head. "Nothing changes without sacrifice." Teni's heart dropped. "I don't want anything that will harm her," she said immediately, panic rising in her voice. "I just want my life to work, not for anything bad to happen to Mira." Mama Teni sighed, as if Teni was being childish. "She has always overshadowed you," she said quietly, "since both of you were young." The herbalist continued smoothly, like she was completing a plan already written. "And now there is a man involved too?" Teni looked away. "I don't care about Ethan like that," she muttered. But the silence that followed betrayed her. The herbalist smiled faintly. "I can work with silence." Teni swallowed hard. "Mama, I don't like this anymore," she said, stepping closer to her mother. "Let's just stop this." But Mama Teni didn't move. "It's too late," she said coldly. "We've already started." The herbalist leaned forward. "Did she leave anything behind?" she asked. Teni frowned. "What do you mean?" "Hair, clothes, jewelry, anything that belongs to her." Mama Teni nodded. "Yes," she answered. Teni turned sharply. "What exactly are you people planning to do?" The herbalist's voice dropped into something final and heavy. "Balance her life." And in that moment, Teni felt something break inside her, not courage, not pride, but the fear that whatever had started here was no longer something she could control, and Mira might be the one who pays for it. Ethan told Mira he had already secured a temporary passport appointment for her. Mira felt a rush of relief she couldn't hide. "Ethan, thank you," she said softly, but even in that moment, her hands were shaking. Ethan noticed immediately. "You're shaking," he said. Mira swallowed hard. "I don't know. Something feels wrong." Kelvin tried to brush it off. "Maybe stress. Everything has been intense lately." But Mira shook her head. "No, it's not that. Teni looked at me today like she hated me." Ethan's expression changed slightly. "Some people love you until your life starts improving beyond theirs," he said calmly. Mira turned to him quickly. "She's my best friend." Ethan didn't flinch. "That doesn't stop jealousy." Mira's voice softened, almost defensive. "You don't understand. We grew up together." Kelvin sighed quietly. "Sometimes that's exactly why it hurts more." Before anyone could say anything else, Mira's phone rang. She looked at the screen and froze. "It's Teni." Ethan immediately leaned in. "Put it on speaker." Mira hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" Teni's voice came through fast, shaky. "Mira, where are you?" "I'm with Ethan." "Why?" Teni didn't waste time. "Come home." Mama fainted. Mira's eyes widened instantly. "What?" Teni continued urgently. "Please hurry. She's not waking up properly." Ethan didn't hesitate. "We're coming now." The call ended abruptly. Silence filled the space. Kelvin frowned slightly. Something about that call sounded strange. Ethan nodded once. "Very strange." Mira was already panicking. "Guys, that's her mother. We need to go." Ethan reached out slightly. "Mira, wait." She turned sharply. "What?" His voice lowered. Teni's background noise sounded empty. Kelvin added immediately. "Yeah, no panic. No neighbors. Nothing." Mira shook her head, confused and scared. "So what are you saying?" Ethan looked at her directly. "I think somebody is lying." Mira arrived at Teni's house with Ethan and Kelvin, rushing in immediately after the urgent call about Mama Teni fainting. The atmosphere inside the house felt strange from the moment she stepped in. The lights were dim, almost as if the house had been deliberately darkened. "Mama," Mira called out anxiously as she moved further inside. Mama Teni appeared. "Mira, you came," she said weakly. Mira rushed toward her. "Teni said you fainted." Mama Teni placed a hand on her forehead as if trying to appear unwell. "Ah, yes, I feel small dizziness." Mira looked around, confused. "Why is the house so dark?" Teni quickly answered from the side. "Nipa took light." But Ethan's eyes narrowed instantly. "Then why is every other flat downstairs bright?" The question made the room tense. Teni froze. That was when Mira noticed someone else in the room. A woman dressed in dark clothing, with a black veil partially covering her face. Mira frowned immediately. "Who is that?" Mama Teni quickly tried to dismiss it. "Just one prayer woman." But the woman's presence felt wrong. Ethan stepped closer to Mira immediately. "Mira, let's leave. Now." Teni suddenly panicked. "Wait!" Mira turned sharply. "Teni, what is happening?" The veiled woman spoke for the first time, her voice cold. "She wasn't supposed to come with him." Ethan frowned. "Excuse me?" Mira's eyes suddenly caught something else. Her suitcase. It was open. She stepped forward slowly. "Teni, why is my suitcase open?" No answer. Then she saw more. Her clothes were scattered on the floor. Her breathing began to change. "Why are my clothes on the floor?" Ethan immediately moved closer to her. "Mira, get behind me." Mama Teni's expression shifted for a split second. "This is not how it was supposed to happen," she muttered. Mira turned sharply toward her. "Mama, what did you people do?" Teni's body started shaking. "I tried to stop it," she said quietly. The veiled woman snapped instantly. "Shut up!" Mira stepped back, confusion turning into fear. "Stop what?" Ethan's voice dropped suddenly. "Mira, your passport." Mira blinked. "What about it?" Ethan pointed toward the corner of the room. "It's burning." Slowly, Mira turned. In the corner of the room sat a metal bowl glowing with fire, and inside it, her passport was being consumed by flames. Looking at the burning passport, the scattered clothes, and the strange woman speaking in riddles, she could no longer hold back her fear and anger. "What is wrong with all of you?" she shouted. Ethan immediately stepped in front of her. "Mira, stay behind me." The veiled woman, Madame Celine, tilted her head slowly. She was never supposed to see this part. Mira's voice rose. "See what part?" Teni stepped forward, panicking. "Mira, listen to me first." But Mira wasn't listening anymore. "No, you listen to me. That's my passport burning in a bowl." Mama Teni tried to justify it quickly. "We were trying to help Teni." Mira turned sharply. "By destroying my life?" Teni's voice cracked. "I didn't think it would go this far." Ethan looked at her, disappointed. "But you still brought her here." Teni shouted back, overwhelmed. "I was angry." Mira's eyes filled with shock. "Angry enough to ruin me?" Madame Celine spoke calmly, almost detached. "Nobody can ruin what already belongs elsewhere." Ethan frowned. "Stop talking in riddles." Madame Celine continued. "This girl carries natural favor. Your friend has spent her entire life standing in her shadow." Mira stepped forward. "So instead of talking to me, you planned this?" Teni broke down. "You don't understand what it feels like." Mira's voice hardened. "Then explain it." Teni finally let it out. "Every room we enter, people choose you. Every single time." Mira shook her head. "That's not my fault." Teni's voice cracked completely. "I know. That's why I hate myself for feeling this way." Silence filled the room. Even Mama Teni looked away. Teni continued, shaking. "I kept smiling while everything in my life was falling apart. Rent, rejection, fake friends. And then Ethan came and suddenly your life started changing even more. It looked perfect to me." Mira whispered firmly. "My life is not perfect." Teni answered softly. "It looked perfect to me." Madame Celine raised her hand slightly. "Emotions are useless now. The process has already started." Ethan stepped forward. "What process?" Madame Celine's eyes stayed fixed on Mira. "Once the fire finishes, the exchange completes." Mira froze. "Exchange?" Ethan's voice turned sharp. "You're insane." Madame Celine didn't react. No, just experienced. Mira suddenly lunged and grabbed the metal bowl. Mama Teni screamed, "Don't touch it." Mira threw it hard to the ground. Teni yelled her name. "Mira!" The flames scattered, and instantly, the entire room went dark. The room stayed frozen in darkness. Only broken candle flames flickered as everyone tried to process what had just happened. "Mira, I swear I didn't know this would happen. But Mira stepped back immediately. Stay away from me. Her voice wasn't loud anymore. It was empty. Ethan gently touched her arm. We're leaving. But before they could move, Madame Celine's voice cut through the darkness, again calm, heavy, certain. If she walks out now, the consequences follow her permanently. Ethan didn't even hesitate. I don't care. He grabbed Mira's hand. But the moment he did, the candles in the room flickered violently. Then one by one, went out. Silence swallowed everything. Madame Celine spoke again, softer this time. You think this is finished, but it's already inside her life now. Mira swallowed hard. What do you mean? No answer. Just a cold, unreadable silence. Then from Mira's phone again. It rang. She froze. It's my uncle. Ethan nodded. Put it on speaker. Her hand shook as she answered. Hello? A panicked voice came through immediately. Mira, where are you? Your grandmother just collapsed. They're rushing her to the hospital. Mira's eyes widened. WHAD. The call dropped. Dead silence. Mira looked up slowly, her face pale. Grandma. Teni broke completely. I swear I didn't know this would happen. Mira's voice dropped. Stay away from me. Ethan pulled her closer. We're leaving. Now. They turned toward the door, but Madame Celine's voice followed them like a warning carved into the air. If she leaves now, what was started doesn't stop at her. Ethan paused slightly. Mira didn't. She kept walking. But behind them, Madame Celine whispered one final thing, and this time, it didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like certainty. You will understand soon enough. The hospital corridor was quiet. Too quiet for everything Mira had just been through. A few minutes earlier, the doctor had confirmed it. Her grandmother was stable, but needed rest. Mira nodded, barely hearing the words. Relief and fear mixed in her chest at the same time. Ethan stood beside her. Thank you, doctor, he said softly. The doctor walked away, leaving only the cold hospital silence behind. That's when Mira broke. Not loudly, just a quiet collapse into tears she had been holding in for hours. Ethan turned to her immediately. Hey, look at me. Mira shook her head. Everything was fine before tonight. Ethan's voice stayed steady. This isn't your fault. But Mira couldn't accept it. I brought those people into my life. Ethan tightened his jaw slightly. You trusted them. That's not weakness. Before she could respond, Mira's eyes caught movement down the hallway. Teni, standing there, unsure, guilty, broken. I just wanted to see if your grandma was okay, she said quietly. Mira's voice turned cold instantly. Why are you here? Teni swallowed hard. Because, despite everything, you're still my friend. Mira let out a bitter breath. Friends don't destroy each other. Teni's eyes filled. I know. A pause. Then Mira asked a question that cut deeper than anything else that night. Did you ever actually love me? Teni broke completely. More than anybody. That's the problem. Mira froze. Then why hurt me? Teni's voice shook. Because every time I looked at you, I saw the life I wanted. Mira whispered, almost in disbelief. You could have built your own life. Teni shook her head. I was tired of waiting. Ethan stepped in immediately. Mira, let's go inside. But Teni suddenly looked at him. Ethan, he didn't even turn fully. Don't. Teni's voice sharpened. You think you're innocent too? Ethan paused. Mira slowly turned to him. Her voice was barely a whisper. What truth? Mira's voice dropped in disbelief. Ethan, what is she talking about? Ethan exhaled slowly, like he had been holding the truth in for too long. Teni is emotional right now. But Teni stepped forward immediately. No, tell her. Silence hit the hallway. Heavy, uncomfortable. Ethan finally spoke. The first day I met you wasn't random. Mira blinked. What? Ethan continued, calmer now, but heavier. Kelvin showed me your picture weeks before I ever approached you. Mira's breath caught. So, it was planned? Ethan shook his head slightly. Not like that. He paused. My mother knew your grandmother years ago. She helped us when nobody else did. Mira's eyes widened slowly. What does that have to do with me? Ethan's voice softened. Before she died, she told me to find you one day. A beat. She said your grandmother saved her life. The hallway went silent. Mira whispered, so you came because of that? Ethan nodded. And because I wanted to repay it. But Mira, I fell for you for real. Teni let out a bitter laugh through tears. See, everybody was connected. Nobody is innocent. Mira snapped. Stop talking. But Teni wasn't done. He knew who you were before he even said hello. Ethan shot back. I didn't use her, I came to repay kindness. Mira raised her hand sharply. Enough. Silence crashed again. Then Mira stepped back slowly, her voice breaking but cold. I trusted both of you. Her eyes moved between them. One envied me. One hid the truth from me. A pause. Her final words landed like a knife. Maybe I never really knew either of you. Mira stood quietly, tears rolling down as her grandmother's words settled deep in her heart. The hospital room felt different now. Softer, calmer, like truth had finally entered the chaos. Teni stood with her head lowered, unable to meet anyone's eyes. The weight of everything she had done pressed heavily on her. Mira finally broke the silence. I don't know what we are anymore. Her voice shook. Friends, enemies, or just two people who hurt each other because life was hard. Teni wiped her tears quickly. Mira, if you still go, can we ever be friends again? Silence followed. Heavy, emotional, final. Mira looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly she spoke. I don't know if we can go back to what we were. A pause. But maybe we can become something better. With time. Teni's eyes filled again. Ethan stood quietly beside them, not interrupting. Grandma smiled faintly from the bed. That is enough, she whispered. Healing doesn't come from forgetting. It comes from understanding. Mira looked down, wiping her tears. Outside, the world waited for her flight. Inside, her heart was still healing. But for the first time that night, peace didn't feel far away. This is an African folktale-inspired story. If this story touched you, follow for more powerful stories like this. Now tell me, what would you have done if you were Mira? Would you still forgive Teni? Or walk away forever?